Pest control methods. Pesticides are substances or mixture of substances intended for preventing, destroying, repelling, or migrating any pest. Its target pest can include insects, plant pathogens, weeds, or any other animals and organisms that destroy property, cause nuisance, spread disease, or are vectors of disease. Early methods mainly used chemicals to combat pest attacks of different types. Yet, as these chemical pesticides' potential toxicity to humans and other animals was identified and confirmed during the 1960s, many other pest control methods were introduced. Man has used chemicals as pest control for a long time. For example, an early method to protect wood from fungal attack was to paint with Falu red paint, which contains copper and zinc. The use of pesticides in agriculture took off around the middle of the 1900s. DDT, perhaps the best-known environmental toxin, and few other organic compounds were introduced during the 1940s, when knowledge of synthetic chemicals increased rapidly as a result of research into chemical weapons during World War II. As a result, many of the early insecticides were closely related to nerve gas, operating by affecting the nervous system either through disrupting the sodium-potassium balance of the nerve fiber or through inhibiting the enzyme that regulates acetylcholine, a neurotransmitter. The use of chemical pesticides greatly increased production in many fields, ameliorated vector-borne diseases. However, they have also resulted in serious health implications to man and his environment. Therefore, since the discovery that DDT was preventing many fish-eating birds from reproducing in the 1960s, which was a serious threat to biodiversity, the agricultural use of DDT is now banned in many countries together, with the restriction of many other uses of chemical pesticides. A common alternative to chemical pesticides is the use of biological pesticides. Biopesticides refer mainly to certain types of pesticides derived from such natural materials as animals, plants, bacteria, and certain minerals. They fall into three major classes: microbial pesticides, plant-incorporated pesticides, and biochemical pesticides. Microbial pesticides consist of a microorganism such as a bacterium, fungus, virus, or protozoan as the active ingredient. Each strain of this microorganism produces a different mix of proteins that can bind to a larval gut receptor, thereby causing the insect larvae to starve. Plant-incorporated protectants and pesticidal substances that plants produce from genetic material that has been added to the plant. For example, scientists can take the gene for the Bt pesticidal protein and introduce the gene into the plant's own genetic material. Then the plant, instead of the Bt bacterium, manufactures the substance that destroys the pest. Biochemical pesticides are naturally occurring substances that control pests by non-toxic mechanisms. Conventional pesticides, by contrast, are generally synthetic materials that directly kill or inactivate the pest. Biochemical pesticides include substances such as insect sex pheromones that interfere with mating, as well as various scented plant extracts that attract insect pests to traps. Apart from chemical and biological pesticides, other pest control methods include methods of cultivation and methods of interfering with insect breeding. Cultivation practices include polyculture, growing multiple types of plants, crop rotation, planting crops in areas where the pests that damage them do not live, scheduling planting time according to when pests will be less problematic, and the use of trap crops that attract pests away from the real crop. Interfering with insects' reproduction can be accomplished by sterilizing males of the target species and releasing them so that they mate with females but do not produce offspring. Also, another alternative is the thermal treatment of the soil through steam, which kills pests and increases soil health. In recent years, practicing integrated pest management (IPM) became more and more popular, which can reduce the quantity of chemical pesticides entering the environment. IPM is a process consisting of the balanced use of cultural, biological, and chemical procedures that are environmentally compatible, economically feasible, and socially acceptable to reduce pest populations to tolerable levels. It is based on 4 steps. First, taking preventive measures to prevent pest buildup. Second, regularly checking the area for early detection and proper identification of pests. Third, assessing the potential for pest populations to reach an intolerable level. And fourth, once a pest has reached the intolerable level, appropriate actions will be taken to bring down the pest population, as well as to prevent loss or damage.